So I wanted to introduce my team first of all. So Chris Bornhauser runs our clinical trials. Kimberly Wilson gets all our patients in a very timely way. And Sabin, Teresa, and Mike are 3 patients on this clinical trial. I wanted to introduce Sabin first because he's been on it the longest. If you want to come up, and we'll just be very brief, but we'll just talk about what his experience is, because I can pontificate ad nauseum, as you can see, but or hear.
She's stunning.
So Sabin, can you tell us what happened when you were diagnosed? What were you thinking?
Well, I guess the simplest summary is what we mentioned earlier, is that a year and a half ago, actually, I wouldn't even be here at this hour in the morning. I'd still be trying to get out of bed, you know. My spleen was huge, just out of energy, staring at the ground hours and hours of the day, and like that.
And I remember meeting you, and you couldn't, it was difficult for you to get off the examining table because your spleen was so big, and you're...
uncomfortable, sleeping at night.
Right. And you had very swollen ankles and were very pale. Now, what made you decide to go on this trial?
Well, it was recommended by the doctor that I was seeing at another institution, and I have no problem with being a study patient. Otherwise, it was kind of like an end game scenario. Look, just choosing, okay, what's going to happen here? How far am I going to deplete my resources, et cetera, et cetera. So it was an easy choice. I don't even think that, I mean, it just happened.
Right.
No
so
question.
What happened when you started the drug?
Well, I had very quick results. I think I was the second, was that right? Second human being to use this product after the mice. I was still holding on to their tail. And I had very quick results. My spleen started getting smaller. I could roll over and sleep on it at night. Lots of very good things happened. That was almost 18 months ago now, over a year ago. And now I am at, I hit the maximum tolerable dose, went past it. That was no fun at all. And she was able to dial that back down for me to where it's just no problem now, tolerable. I want to say I get really excited when I hear talk about messaging and signaling in the genes and in the cells and tissues, because for me that's exciting, because that's something that I can have a little bit of effect on. In other words, it's all in the electronics, and to the extent that I can program myself, I can just really remain open to reverting to a authentic stage of existence, complete healing is my goal.
Yes, we're trying to do this holistic approach, so we look at the whole person. Now, you do woodwork. Are you back to that? Or?
Yeah, I've, in the last few months, for a year, I was in just total healing mode, not doing anything, and just trying to just not stress myself in any way, which I was able to do. But my conditioning got so, I was just like, after working for years and years, very poor conditioning. So now I decided, okay, that's it, enough of that. I'm going back and doing things and being productive.
Good. And you're a sailor? So he's back to his hobbies.
Boat building and sailing and things like that.
And he's got the tools in his pocket to do that, so right there I can see it.
Yeah, that's it.
So thank you very much.
Yes.
I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
So I wanted to introduce Teresa, who has a slightly different story, and so she can tell us a little bit about her experience. This is what I meant by unsung heroes, though. We're a team. We do this together. This is based on, understanding. This is the bench to bedside and back. What are we doing right? What are we doing wrong? What could we do better? And so I'm told quite continuously what we could do better. But so Teresa, can you tell us how you were, what your treatment options were when we first met each other back in November?
Well, I came to Dr. Jamieson with polycythemia vera, with a myeloid proliferative disorder, a white count of about 95,000. Platelets were, I forget what those were. Those were out of whack.
86.
They were the 86. Red cells, I think, had stabled off. I'd gone from my original diagnosis in September of 2003 of just PV. And I managed to stay there for a while, had phlebotomies to keep the red count down, and that kind of stabled off. And then I slowly started seeing the white count climb.
So normal's 11,000, which is a very high count.
So by last year, I started developing, what was that tumor? I still don't know the name of it, in my knee.
So Teresa, you had extramedullary hematopoiesis
Right.
in your knee. So it means you're making bone marrow outside the normal places where you make bone marrow. So when I saw you with my fellow, Kim Kien Dow, the CERM-funded fellow, she was saying, Kat, you're crazy. You didn't look well enough
I
to
wasn't
start on
well.
the trial because you were walking with that walker. And
I had a
Ashen.
biopsy because other doctors didn't know what it was. They thought I had bone cancer. They knew of the polycythemia vera, so I had gone, like Sabin, just not feeling good, enlarged spleen. I was still working, but I take off for doctor appointments, come back, just drag myself from work to home. But it was a knee that put me out of commission for about, 4 months. Mm-hmm. So when I saw Dr. Catriona and came in for my biopsy, and she says, you're progressing, you have blasts. And I'm like, what the heck are blasts? I don't know what blasts are. She says, well, you're right on the cusp between, what's it, AML?
Mm-hmm. Myelofibrosis and acute leukemia.
Mm-hmm. So I said, well, what are we going to do? So I had been sent there by another institution, another doctor at City of Hope. I'd been going there for a couple years and didn't have a match, a bone marrow match of any kind. So every time I'd see him, I'd say, is there a trial out there that I can go on and try and, become a part of that will help me other than, every month talking to you about a potential this, potential that? He says, yes, there is. He sent me down to see Dr. Jamieson, and I saw you, I was pretty sick. I agree. I was using a walker, and when she started me on the trial, I too had immediate results that were just fabulous. Within a month, I went from a walker to a cane. My white count came down to almost normal within a month's time, and they couldn't believe the results. I couldn't either.
We couldn't either. We did MRI of the knee, ultrasound of the spleen.
Took a lot of blood.
Yeah.
It's like, wow. What are you testing for?
Got to measure that JAK2 gene.
It was the JAK2. I do have that, the chromosome, Philadelphia chromosome, and all of that stuff. So I did the maximum dose in the beginning and didn't feel that good. But I did go to work. I went back to work in February. Within 3 months of starting to see Dr. Jamieson, I went back for 32 hours a week. And just recently, I went back 40.
Yeah. So we had to dose reduce.
Right.
This is the Targogen drug TG-101348 from 680 down to the next lower level. So that seems to be a better tolerated dose.
Works great.
So how many hours are you working a week now?
40. I never stopped working, but it
Yeah.
was hard going to work, taking my pills. All right, it's been 2 hours since I had breakfast. I got to do this. I got to do. And I'd sit there like Sabin. I'm like, okay, I'm just staring until things kicked in. But it's a lot better now.
Right.
Way a lot better.
And you met somebody, I understand.
Yes, I have someone new in my life. Actually, it's somebody from high school, and we rekindled the relationship after 40 years. It's one of those kind of stories. So she always brings this up.
I have to. I just can't get over it. You meet your high school sweetheart.
I know,
So-
all over again.
Yeah, it's amazing. So this is about new beginnings. It's about giving people a new lease on life, not just extending lifespan, but actually quality of life. And I think that's really important. So thank you very much,
Thank you.
Teresa. And then our last patient is Mike, so he's going to come up. He's been on the trial the shortest, and had to put up with us saying, "You're not sick enough, Mike. You got to be sicker."
No, I met Dr. Jamieson thanks to my wife. in January. And Dr. Jamieson was congenial and wonderful, as she always is. However, she told me that I wasn't sick enough for her study. Being a man of faith and a born-again Christian, it's kind of difficult to go to my Maker and say, I need to be sicker, Lord. It goes against my overall ideals. So I got to the point where my prayers weren't make me sicker, but your will, not my will. We met in January, and late April, I still wasn't sick enough. The study was closing, and I get a call from Tristan, and says, Mike? Yeah. Tristan, UCSD. Yeah, how can I help? He says, what are you doing this afternoon? I said, well, shut down our office yesterday, so I'm here at the house. He goes, well, good. How soon can you get down here? The study's closing. Dr. Jamieson wants to see if you'll fit.
And he did. In the nick of time. It was closing, the study was closing in an hour. And we had to do the bone marrow biopsy, and Chris and Tristan and Dan and I pounced on poor Mike. Got the bone marrow biopsy, all the lab that had to be done. I think your lab fit by 3. It was basically, you just got into the right zone. And somebody had come off the study because she had a change in taste. So she didn't like it, so that's why that spot had opened up. So, so Mike, what's happened since you've been on the JAK2 inhibitor?
Since I've been on, I have, prior to the start of the study, my spleen had enlarged, lengthened, and protruded. My wife said it looked like it was a football laying on my stomach. I thought it looked like a big, if you're a fisherman, if you're going deep sea fishing, you use a big mackerel. Something nice, meaty. Well, that's what was laying on my stomach. And it had grown to 21 centimeters and protruded out about 1.5 inches. As Sabin and Teresa have said, I couldn't sleep on that stomach. Trouble bending over, very lethargic, shortness of breath, hot flashes. Not only during the day, but at night, just my wife will be sleeping with bedclothes and blankets, and I'll be turn on the fans and just loss of 10 pounds in a couple of months. Just muscle, just all of a sudden my shoulders, my muscle mass just dropped, just fell off. People would ask me, well, how do you feel? I said, well, I don't know how I'm supposed to feel. I've never been this age before. You know, I'm 60 now, or I was at the time, and I didn't know how you're supposed to feel at 60. Sabin can probably tell me. He's maybe had it, or there's others in the room perhaps that are older than 60. I can tell you how you're supposed to feel at 60. I didn't know, and I was tired. I was going to sleep. I was having trouble making it through the workday. I would come home, and at 7 o'clock I'd be laying down on the couch or falling asleep in the chair prior to the drug.
Right.
Since then, I wanted to take a picture of my spleen.
We should have. We did.
My son told me, Dad, take a picture of that guy. And I said, okay, I'm going to do it. But I got on the study so fast. I mean, it was a Wednesday or a Thursday, and Monday I was taking the drug. Well, Monday I was in no condition at all, because the dosage, the starting dosage,
Nausea, vomiting.
really kicked my can. Tuesday night I had my wife go to the pharmacy to stop the other side, because that was one of the other conditions that were happening. But Wednesday I looked at my spleen and it was smaller. 7 days after starting the medication, my spleen had gone away. And had gone from 21.5 centimeters to 10. My liver had gone from
10 to 3.
10 to 3 in a week. So the results are dramatic in my case. And very, very grateful for that change.
So with Mike, we also lowered the dose. So part of a phase 1 study is we're finding those most safe and tolerable dose. And we're trying to also look at markers of efficacy. And so, Mike, you're down to 600. How does it feel on the 600 milligram dose now?
600 is fine. I don't have the issues that I had with the 680, or less issues. But I take the dosage at night, which has helped me. I was trying to take the initial dosage during the day, and it was nullifying at least 2 to 3 hours in the middle of my workday. Lost that position. I just could not perform. Just foggy and trying to hold everything together. It just couldn't work. But taking it at night has helped me because, but I don't notice any nausea anymore. A little bit of diarrhea or potential for that, but the reaction has been very good at the 600.
Great. Well, thank you so much, Mike. Really appreciate it. Well, thank you very much, everybody. I wanted to give you an indication of what you're doing here, that it's not abstract, that it's real. There are people that can benefit from what you're doing, and we want to give them that benefit. We're always, this is still, we're finding the right dose. What I did want to mention very quickly is Sabin's JAK2 mutant allele frequency is 0 now. So we think we're having an effect on the stem cell. Teresas is going down. And Mike, we don't know yet because you've only been on the study for over a month. But thank you very much for coming here and for giving us an opportunity to speak.
Thank you very much, Dr. Jamieson. It's extraordinary, the dedication that you've committed to this, to your patients, your staff's commitment. It is, in fact, a story being played out across California thanks to the vision of 7 million voters who gave us the ability to address this tremendous new field of regenerative medicine, spanning from cancer stem cells to cellular transplants and the use of cell lines to understand the biomechanics and the molecular mechanics and origins of disease. It is an extraordinary privilege for us on the board to be of service to the patients of California, the people of California and the world. And we want to thank the patients because while their health is improving, which is so critically important on every individual case, they are proving out new therapies for the people of the world where this will be a great contribution. So thank you for your contribution, for being here. Thank you for participating in the study. And we appreciate University of California, San Diego and its leadership and the Cancer Center and their commitment. We will now come to our formal meeting, and you're welcome to stay. Thank you.